Good morning. Merry Christmas Eve. Happy day 24 of Vlogmas. I am going to require matchsticks today to keep the eyes open. It's 7:30 in the morning and it's been an interesting night. My eldest, who is just coming up to the age of sweet 16, was at a party last night, and I got a phone call at about 1 o'clock in the morning to tell me that she was very drunk, and I did know there would be some alcohol involved, although I don't condone it. I'd rather know about it, so you know, she's not doing the things that I was doing when I was younger, and if what happened last night happened, she knew she could call me without getting into trouble. So yes, I went over to pick her up at about it was about 1:15 in the morning, and then she proceeded to throw up, and then finally got her to sleep to a point where I felt she was safe at about 3 o'clock this morning. And then I felt so cold and tired, I couldn't get back to sleep. So I feel like I've had no sleep. I did get back to sleep, probably about another hour or so, which is why I have no makeup on. It's why I'm going to be starting my working day wearing my lovely Santa's Favourite Sewist jumper, because it's lovely and snuggly and warm, because I'm tired. I feel like I need warmth. And it's also why I'm wearing my pyjama bottoms. So yeah, that's me this morning. I will get dressed, I will pop this on, and I will pop some makeup on and make myself look a bit more human later today when I have to go out and do things, once I've had a chance to wake up and put some food in my body and have a bit of fuel. But you know, this is Vlogmas, this is very real, so I'm being very honest. I know that some of you will have opinions about my nearly 16-year-old daughter drinking, and don't get me wrong, whilst I don't condone it, it's going to happen and I'm not going to stop it, and I'd rather know about it. So that's how we've managed the situation. Okay, let's have a look at the calendars this morning. I've literally got my final Fabric Godmother 24. This is really squidgy and feels nice, and I've got a feeling it's a pincushion. This is from Adele, which is day 24. But I do have a day 25 from Adele. And then I have my Kylie in the Machine. So we'll do this one first, because this will be the last one in here today. So day 24 just says, I can't even read what it says because my brain's not functioning. But it says end here on the other bit. So, oh my God. That's loads of labels. I mean, loads of labels. So there's, let me just get these out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 labels in here, and it's like they went, I'm going to save all of these really nice 10 labels to the very end. So there's this one, which is a little needle and thread, which is lovely. There's this one, which is a funky coloured pencil. So that's the front, and that's the back. These ones are very retro, by the way. There's like a little camera, and then on the back of that, I'm not quite sure whether that's supposed to be a cat or not. I actually really like this. This is like a really retro kind of looking bird, and it's one of those that's like a patch one. But that makes sense to me because it's a little picture. So that as a patch works for me. I love this. This is a pair of dungarees. So you've got the green ones there, and then you've got the blue ones there. And I think it's actually the front and the back, is it? Or I might just know. They're two fronts, just two different types of dungarees. We've got a sock and a dog. Like, some of these labels are like somebody's been on drugs and designed them, because they don't fully make sense. But I like these labels. We have another patch one, which is like a drink. We have these gorgeous little hearts. I love this colour purple. And then on the back, it's got hearts that are facing sideways, but they look like a butterfly to me. We have cards, which has got the hearts symbols on them as well. And then the final one is a pear and a croissant. So that is quite a really nice final day of labels. I'm rather impressed. I have mixed feelings about this calendar, but I'd probably still get it again next year because I like the labels. And it must be incredibly difficult to come up with 24 days of labels. I know how difficult it is coming up with 24 days of button designs. To come up with label designs, I imagine it's just as difficult. Shall we see what's in the final day of Fabric Godmother? Now, this is a calendar I won't be getting again. Okay, ooh. So we're wrapped in little tissue paper. You watch, final day present will be a lovely one, won't it? We have a little foil pouch. There's for your needles. Studio Lowen. It's another like handmade item, which is actually very nice. I won't use it, but it's very nice. Okay, that's Fabric Godmother done. Final day. Let's see what the beautiful Adele has put in day 24. It's not my final day for her because I actually have a present from her tomorrow. Kind of hoping she likes my day 25 present. I put a lot of time thinking about what to get her. And yeah, I know she's not been watching Vlogmas this year, so she hasn't seen my reactions this year to hers. She's a very busy lady, our Adele is. Now this is stunning. This is a Liberty pincushion. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Thank you very, very much. I love that. What a gorgeous, gorgeous gift. I feel like I'm very lucky to have the friends that I have in my life. I was, last night, I was sitting there starting to sort out my year in review vlog. Yes, I know, I've not finished Vlogmas, but I'm already planning some of my other vlogs. I've got really dry skin there. It's driving me around the bend. It feels like there's a bruise. Looks like there's a bruise. It's not, it's just dry skin. I get eczema occasionally come up on my face, and that's what's both of those. Because you see me with no makeup on, you can see that. Right, I'm now waffling. Yeah, I was starting to look at my year in review, and I was looking at the clothes that I've made this year. I feel like I've got a hair in my mouth now. I was looking at the clothes that I've made this year, but I was also looking at all the things that I've done and all of the friends that I've met up with from the sewing community over the year, and I was looking back through all my photos. And it's been amazing this year. I've seen the lovely Ruan and Rachel and Tamlin a couple of times over the year. Adele, I've seen like at least every month, twice a month, which is amazing. The Staffordshire social ladies, I haven't been a month without seeing at least one of them throughout the year. My gorgeous sewing group and community sew group from my social, again, I've seen them quite a lot this year. We've done a couple of things individually this year as well. And you know, when you're looking through it, Shannon, who is Sewing Warehouse, who also comes to my sewing social, but we did go to Goldhawk Road. I looked back at the photos from last year for the Thurklow Weekender, and that was so much fun. And I've got that to look forward to next month. So yeah, it was really nice reflecting on the year. Now I have put out, and you're not going to know this because you'll see this at the end of today, and I imagine today's vlog will be a bit of a longer vlog, but I've put out a shout out on Instagram to see if anybody has any questions for me that I can answer throughout the day, really, anything anybody wants to know. So we'll see if I get anything. I don't know whether I will, but we'll see if I do. But I did have a question, and this is why I decided to do that, was because somebody had actually asked me what I do for a living, what I do as my day job. So my full-time job, I am called an early careers manager. I work within a HR team, so human resources team, and I have two aspects to my job. So the job that I am so experienced in, part of that was talent acquisition. So I would get involved in recruitment for the business, not for an external agency, for the business I work for, which means you partner up with managers in the business to make sure you're getting the right things. You get involved in the interview process and the offer right through to them coming in and onboarding. But the specialist part of my role is the early careers manager, and that means that every apprentice and graduate, work experience student, intern that comes into our organisation, I have some form of interaction with, from recruiting them to onboarding them in the business to managing their programs. So yesterday I was out seeing a apprentice that's been playing up and trying to bring them back in line, for example. I am there to support them when they're struggling with their studies and make sure that we get the right support in place for them to make sure they succeed. Make sure when they transition out of their apprenticeships and graduate programs into their full-time roles with the business, that that's all run smoothly. And the business I work for works in the engineering industry. They're a very niche kind of organisation in what they do. They basically build big cranes and conveyors in warehouses, and then they look after that equipment. So the sort of early career students that we're bringing through are those that are either engineering or IT technology specialists, some form of qualification, degree, or education through an apprenticeship in that sector. So yeah, it's interesting. We have sites all around the UK, in Northern Europe, so Lithuania. I also manage all of the recruitment and the relationship outside of in Lithuania as well. So there's quite a lot that I do as part of my role. So hopefully that answers your question. I have worked within HR, learning and development, and recruitment for, I want to say 15 years. No, I've worked in recruitment a lot longer than that. I've worked in recruitment since I was 18. And then for the last 10 years, I've worked within HR. And in the last few years, I've worked within L&D. And I'm studying learning and development as part of my own apprenticeship that I'm doing as a mature apprentice, to enhance what I'm able to do for our delivery of programmes within L&D. Hopefully I've not bored you or sent you all to sleep with that. Very early for that level of conversation. So I will keep an eye out on questions throughout the day, and I do have a really busy day ahead of me. I've got all the veg to prep, I've got the meat to get out the freezer ready for tomorrow, we've got all the kids coming over. Later I'll be going out and meeting a few friends for drinks. I'll be going to my mum's. So it's going to be a busy day, but up until about midday I'm working, so I need to get on and do that. Hello, we're not that much after I spoke to you before. I've had a few questions come in, so I thought I would, now I'm a little bit more awake, answer a couple of them. So the beautiful Claire from Stitch Hem Sew, who is here on YouTube and over on Instagram. If you don't watch her channel, go and check her out because she's amazing. She asked me what my hobby was before sewing. So I feel to answer this, it's going to be really tricky because I dabbled. I did a little bit of jewellery making. I did a little bit of candle making. I did a little bit of like fabric decoupage with paper and like handmade fabricy things that wasn't so much sewing. I tried lots of things and nothing really stuck. And then 14 years ago, my ex-husband bought me a sewing machine, an incredible sewing machine, and sewing really took. And he bought it for me because he knew that I'd enjoyed sewing when I was younger. So when I was in my teens, I really enjoyed sewing. So I think sewing's always kind of been my hobby, and I've always experimented in creative things, but I never really had a fixed hobby. My hobby was trying to find what I wanted to do creatively, and it's only been in the last sort of 5 years that I feel like I've really discovered what it is I enjoy and have been part of a beautiful community of people. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. Other than that, I also had a very good hobby of fabric shopping, not fabric shopping, of clothes shopping. So now that's replaced with fabric shopping, but clothes shopping used to be a hobby for me, whether it be secondhand, because I still really enjoy that. But I used to then. I used to love all the new trends that came in. I used to try all sorts of things. So yeah, I could pretty much say that my clothes shopping was a hobby back way when I used to do it regularly. I've had a few questions come in, all relating to Jazz and Wow. So one of the first questions I had in was, am I planning for this to be a full-time job for me one day? And honestly, I don't know the answer to that. Yes, I would like this to become a full-time gig, but I have a very good job and I work for an incredible company. I am very privileged to have both my actual boss and the boss that I have a dotted line into for the other half of my job. I explained that there's two halves of my job. I feel very lucky in what I do, and whilst my job can get incredibly stressful, and it's going to in the next year because of all the stuff that's coming in, I really enjoy the challenge that comes with that. So one day I hope that Jazz and Wow will become a full-time gig. But I want to keep creating. I want to see what works. I want to make sure that my business model is sound before I make that leap. Because I've got quite an established career in what I do and the experience that I have. And when you come out of the career that I'm in, you lose a lot of knowledge if you're not in it day to day. And it would be a huge leap, but not one I think I would regret if I did do it. So I hope that's kind of answered that part of the question. I've then had a question about what my plans are for 2025. So for Jazz and Wow, I would like to do a couple of things. Yes, there will be a 2025 advent calendar. I've already started to work on designs for that. I've already started to plan the making into my monthly sort of time allocated to my resin making. Because I would like to be able to put more calendars up for pre-order this year, and they will get released at the end of August, like I did it last year, so like I did it this year, because we're not quite out of this year yet. So yeah, advent calendars are definitely a big thing for 2025. I feel like I've had some good feedback, and I learned a lot of lessons with making them up this year, and there are things that I would do differently, and there are things that I would change. So yeah, hopefully that answers one element of it. I also would like to have some more sewing items on my resin handmade shop. So I have got a couple of ideas that I'm playing with and that I am trying to work out to see whether they work. I'm not going to give it away as to what they are, but hopefully I'll be able to share that with you, and there will be some more sewing related items made from resin going on to my shop. And I think the final thing really for this year that I really want to achieve is a quarterly subscription. Well, not a subscription actually. It would be, because I've got it via Etsy, I would like to be in a position that once a quarter I tell you what the box is going to be and then put them up for pre-order. And that will come out once a quarter. So there will be a theme to that box. There will be 3 boxes available. I will have a sewing related only box. I'll have a mixed sewing and jewellery box, and I'll have a jewellery only box because I do have a range of customers. And I think I'd also like to be in a position where I know, because I have certain friends have clip-on earrings for jewellery. I'd like to make my jewellery more accessible for those that don't necessarily have piercings. So I'm looking and experimenting with different backs to see if I can create things that work, that broaden the audience that I can reach with those goods. Now, I've been asked about pattern weights as well specifically. So these are the pattern weights that that person in particular is talking about, which, by the way, the person that's asked me about the pattern weights is the So Crabby Bee. These were the pattern weights that I played with last year. Very pretty. I love the shape of them. I think the shape of them is amazing. And if you watch my Vlogmas, you'll see that I do use these quite a lot when I'm cutting out my things. But they are very, very lightweight. And I think I need to get them to be a little bit more weighty for them to be really useful for you guys, which is why I've been reluctant to put them on the shop. So I will work on them and hopefully they will be coming out. Right, I have a work call coming through. Better get on with it. Okay, guys, I have gone and got dressed. I definitely look more human than I did when I went up. I've piled on the makeup. I'm really sore where my eczema's all come up here. You can still see the marks under the makeup. But it will do. I have a pair of Jazz and Wow earrings on. These weren't on my shop, but they're like these sparkly bows. Again, these were ones I experimented with just for me, but I felt they go quite well with this. I'll pop a picture in here of what the Billy dress looks like. So this is what I made last night. I'm really pleased with how this has come out, although it is very short, is all I'm gonna say, but it's short enough that it covers all the bits it needs to cover. So I've had a few more questions come in. So I've had questions about sewing, what my favorite make this year is. I've had a couple of questions about how I came about the name for Jazz and Wow. So Jazz and Wow is the name of both my daughters, Jasmine and Willow. Now Willow has her initials spell Wow, so she's nicknamed in my family as Wow, and Jasmine, Jazz is for short. So the name Jazz and Wow came from them, and the stuff that I make is quite jazzy, and I'm hoping that I get that wow impression. So that one's a fairly easy answer. I think so my 3 favourite makes or 3 favourite patterns was one of the questions I've been asked. I would say the Davenport dress is definitely up there as one of my favourites, the Friday Pattern Company Davenport dress. I've made a few of them now, and it's just one of those. I mean, I've got some fabric here that I really want to make another in as well, so it's one that my mind always goes to with certain viscose drapey type fabrics, and I like extending it down to be a maxi, so I'd say that's definitely a favourite. I would also say the Tilly and the Buttons Billy is definitely a favourite for me, so not just because I'm wearing it, but I have several Billies, both in jumper and dress, that I really like. And I found with Tilly and the Buttons, now I've nailed the fit on the shoulders, because I always used to have a problem with the shoulders not sitting where it should. It used to sit right over because I've got quite narrow shoulders, but doing the adjustment that I've done now means that they're in the right place, and I've got that fit kind of perfect. The Billies look great. I think they suit my figure. I do lower the neckline on the Billy on me because I prefer that. I think that looks a bit better, and I think that I prefer the Billy over the South Bank as well. So Billy is definitely one of my favourite jersey patterns. Davenport's one of my favourite woven patterns. I think as another standout pattern for me, it's going to have to be the Stylark bell dress. I've made a couple of them now, and I love the way it fits my figure. I love the make itself. It's quite an enjoyable sew, and I know that Stylark instructions are really difficult to follow, but there is a sew along on this one on YouTube as well, and I have to say it's probably one of my most worn items in my wardrobe, aside from my Davenports and my Billy. So say they're my 3 favourite patterns. From what's my favourite make this year, that's a really tricky one, because I've made a couple of things that I love, and what I wear versus my favourite make, I would probably have to say, actually, no, that's not true. I'm making this harder than it needs to be. My favourite make this year has to be the Nina Lee dress that I've made for my Scottish Frocktails dress. And the name has escaped my mind as to what that pattern's called. The Holland Park dress, that's it. Holland Park dress. I've made 2 of them this year. I would say I like both of them equally, but the one I made for my Scottish Frocktails has had so much wear since that occasion, and even with a bit of weight loss I'll be able to continue to wear that. So that is by far my favourite make this year. I think that's all the questions I've had in recently. So I am going to go off and do these bits for my mum and get that done, and then I will check in with you a little bit later. my mum. Scott's cleaned out the car. He's just going down the village hall to borrow some chairs for tomorrow, because what we do in here is we pop a table up in our living room and some chairs, because we don't actually have a dining room table, and I have a thing at Christmas Day that I like us all to be at the table. This piece of my fringe is driving me around the bend. So been to see my mum. We've done a few jobs for my mum because she's really struggling. I've actually had to get my stepfather's old walking stick out, which she thought she'd thrown away after he passed away, but hasn't. So we have now done that. That is my hungover child that's just come downstairs. Just so you know, she's going to be given some jobs to do in a little while for me. Just, you know, make her really happy. But I thought I'd show you something. I've been to my mum's, and my mum is a massive gardener, and I use a lot of these, and actually some of you would have seen some of these today if you have one of my advent calendars, because there were some candles with dried flowers, candle holders with dried flowers, and she's dried a load of her ferns. She's dried this is just absolutely stunning, and she's managed to get it intact. This is a cosmos flower that I bought her seeds for her, and she's actually, let me just unpick the petals, and she's actually dried the flower, which I just think is lovely. So these are all to go into my resin. So yeah, there's loads of dried flowers in there to be used in different ways in my resin, so I'm quite looking forward to that. I have just prepped all of tomorrow's vegetables, so that's for the we have a lamb on Christmas Day, so I've prepped all the veg. Tonight I will marinate the lamb, so that gets marinated overnight, and then it goes in on slow for about 6 hours to cook across the day, which will be quite nice. So I'm quite looking forward to that tomorrow. I don't like turkey, I'm sorry, I'm not a traditionalist. I don't eat a lot of meat in general, but yeah, I am partial to a bit of lamb. So